Hi, this is Steve Axelari. I run the Ethos platform. This is an experimental webinar that I'm recording. This is a recording, obviously. Please leave your comments, questions, probes, criticisms, anything you want at the bottom in the fields provided or at the top. I'm not sure how we're going to lay out the page yet. This is about Ethos. This is about all the cock-ups along the way. This is about all the things that we've learned along the way, all the upsets I've had along the way. But I don't have much time. I'm not going to spend ages on this because I don't want to bore you. So, and if you want to hear more, let me know and I'll add more. I'll sort of go into more specific details on some of the things that I've covered off. But let me start with why we built this. We built this to try and make some money out of doing ethnography because I, for one, cannot make money from doing mobile ethnographic research where we send people into people's homes to do the filming. It's too damn expensive. No matter how much we did a 6-country study with HIV patients and GP consultations, and it took us almost a year to complete. Yeah, we got paid almost £250,000. But did I see any of this money? Maybe 15, 20,000, maybe. I know it sounds bad, but I'm not a businessman. I don't even know if I charge the right amount of money. What I've always craved for is, I've been envious of, are those people who do these focus groups, they go and they sit down with 6 people and they charge £3,000 for a night's chit-chat? Okay, it's more than that, but you get my drift. Why can't we have an ethnography light so that I can just kind of like sell these like cakes, right? And say, here it is, here's your ethnography, boom. So it kind of happened like that. The thinking was always there, but it happened when the iPhone came out in 2008, was it? 2009? We jumped on it. We thought, what a fantastic way of getting our researchers to go into the field and film people and then send the photos, the videos back before they've even returned. Because what we had, the cost of doing ethnography with filmmakers and ethnographers was they had to go into the field to whatever country they were going to for a start. For every day of filming, 3 days of editing, cutting down, for us to, before we could even start thinking about the content. I mean, that's not a way to do research or to make money. Sorry, it's a way to do research, but not to make money. And so anyway, we built this app, and here was a series of shocks I'm going to go through now, which maybe will shock you as well. The first one was, I had no idea participants would use it. I thought it was going to be for research. We built it for researchers. We built it for researchers to go and film people. Never did I think that they were going to get researchers to send the questions to participants and get the participants to download the app to do the filming. And that's exactly what happened. And suddenly it became a completely different platform for us. Before I knew it, we were getting calls from people saying, can we use your platform? Can you sell it, license it, pay as you go? How do you charge? I wasn't going to. It was for us. It was for our everyday lives consultancy work. But in fact, it was my wife who turned around to me one day and said, look, it could be a really good source of revenue if you just license it out. So what if they're competitors? It doesn't matter. And what we now have with Ethos is a way of selling cupcakes. And I say cupcakes in the sense that we don't do the work that much anymore. And it frees me up to do all sorts of other interesting things. But clients come to us, they log on, they create a project, they invite participants to it, and then we invoice them. And of course we support them throughout. So our platform, if it was a kitchen, if it was a restaurant, our platform would be one of those where you had a glass partition between where the customers sat and where the kitchen was, where you could see everything happening, totally transparent, everything that was being prepared and cooked. And that's what our platform is. It really is an open platform. And clients can look in on it, everybody can see what's going on, and that's how we like it. So we broke our own rules. We broke our own rules in a totally unexpected way. Not mobile. Ethnography is all about naturalistic observation. By naturalistic observation, I mean allowing the camera to roll, letting things unfold as they happen, capturing them. So the first thing that you're doing with mobile ethnography is you're telling people to film something, to show you something. That's not naturalistic. So that was really upsetting, actually. That was, when you've spent all your working life, back from the JWT planning days, telling people what ethnography is, and suddenly you build a platform and it doesn't do that. What do you call it? It's still mobile ethnography, I guess, but not strictly speaking. So you had to also limit the time you could film. People can't film for 20... I mean, the most you can film on a device is about 9 minutes. And it's got nothing to do with anything other than the manufacturer setting a time limit on their device. iPhone is about 9 minutes. And then the other thing was, of course, it ended up being everybody else's platform and not just ours. So these were 3 big things that changed for us. And we had to really grapple with. So, sorry for making this face. I'm sort of trying to think about how to articulate this next thing. We balanced it with all the sort of shocks that we received, with all the kind of realizations that actually we were not really doing ethnography the way we think it should be done. We found some really interesting ways of looking at this data. So here they are. Random thoughts. We encourage people to share their random thoughts. There's a random thoughts button on the app to share anything and everything that comes to mind, no matter how random, how, nothing to do with the project that you're doing, something that just comes to the top of your head, you want to share it. We allow that to happen. And it adds so much richness to the outputs. Try it. And then understanding, the other thing we discovered very quickly was that understanding the data, what they send you, is half the story. The decision to capture is the other half. Why have they sent you what they've sent you? That is a whole additional layer that we've never had before. So that's fun, and that adds more thinking that needs to be done. And then the ability to capture longitudinal journeys, to be there for longer periods. We couldn't, people go to bed with their phones, they wake up with their phones. An ethnographer couldn't do that with a participant. An ethnographer couldn't spend 3 months with someone, or 6 months with them. So those are the benefits of this methodology and this approach. But if I had my way on any given project, I would combine it. I would always start with a mobile ethno, wide, drill down with participant observation. Not long, but go in on with questions and probes, and mop up with in-homes. So, using the technology, well, somebody asked me how kind of savvy do you need to be. I always say I'm an ethnographer who built a platform for other ethnographers. I'm not a coder. I've never written a line of code. And if you can use Facebook, you can use our platform. In fact, I remember having a client once from Lloyd's Banking Group. He said when they try new software, if they ever have to open the manual for it, they reject it out of hand. That applies to us. Okay? If you really need instruction, we send you instructions. I'll give you a walkthrough. All of that stuff happens. But if you really need instructions in how to use it in detail, we haven't done our job right. That's what we always strive for. And the other thing is that our platform really is all about video. It's all about fundamentally sending video. We don't compress it. We don't do anything to it. We don't limit the time that you can capture for. And we've made it completely fail-safe by actually capturing everything that first of all, we have things like offline syncing, but we also capture everything on the camera roll of the device so that nothing is ever lost. So that's a kind of guarantee that no entries are ever lost on our platform. But this is not an Ethos pitch. This is not what I'm talking about today. What I want to talk about is when you shouldn't think of using our platform. And we've seen these stories, we've seen these things happen. When a client runs an Ethos project and then calls us at the end of it to say, hey, hardly anybody's completed their tasks. My first reaction was, well, you should have known this, right? You should have known they weren't finishing tasks. And then it dawned on me, they hadn't looked at the project. You need to moderate the platform. It has to be, you need to engage with the consumers. You need to encourage them. I mean, the number of times I get, as soon as I get an email from a participant saying, I've just captured this, is it all right? Is it what you were looking for? I know that there is a problem at the other end. I know that whoever it is who's moderating hasn't really reacted fast enough or rapidly enough to what the participant has said. Sometimes it's like days before they react. So it doesn't need to be labor intensive. I mean, a typical 10 participant, 20 participant, 10-day project, which can yield 1,000 entries, might need 2 or 3 hours of moderation a day, just to give you an idea. So if you're not prepared to moderate a study, please don't, honestly, don't waste your time. And then the questions, doesn't matter, I don't care how carefully thought through your questions and probes are, they're going to change. It's ethnography. The content will come in, you will think of new questions you've never thought of before, and everything changes suddenly. Be prepared for that to happen. Don't think that you can agree the questions up front with the client and you're going to stick to them. It doesn't happen like that. It shouldn't happen like that. Don't think of it as research with a video camera. It's not that. Your probes and questions have to be ethnographic. I need to give a completely separate webinar about ethnographic tasks and missions and questions. But don't use survey type, Q&A type questions, please. Do not ask people, why did you do this? Why did you do that? Because they don't know. And if they tell you, it's not going to make very much sense. How to make sense of the data. Now we have, this is the most important thing on a mobile platform. You know, let me start here. Let me start with the old Lego analogy. And this isn't mine. This was from a colleague a few years back who said, see, when you do mobile ethnography like yours, it's like somebody emptying a bucket load of Lego pieces all over your desk. Before you can start building or constructing your insights, you need to see what you have by color, shape, and size, and how much you have before you can start building anything. And if you don't have enough, then you know not to go too far down a particular route when it comes to your insight or your implications. The same applies with us. You need to be able to sort your entries. And we have something called workspaces, which automatically, they're smart workspaces, self-sort the content as they come into buckets. And these are also buckets, so that's the first thing, is automating the sorting and organizing of your themes and different filters that you apply. And codes. The other thing is being able to bucket and create workspaces where you can invite colleagues and clients in to collaborate and discuss. That's really, really important. So we've also built this platform, and we realized quite early on that we needed a platform which clients could be invited to and take ownership of some of the insights. You know the story, right? Insights are to a penny. But get a client to take ownership of something and they will spread it throughout the whole organization. That's a really important point, making sure that clients can come in. Also participants, being able to engage with them and collaborate. So those are kind of two really, really important things. The helicopter view is another one, where you are able to look down on the entire project and see who has done what and who hasn't done what. So forget the insights for a second. Just managing, overviewing your study to see how well it's going is really, really important, because you don't want to get to the end of the project and find, shoot, she hasn't done this task, or he didn't do that, or this is really bad and they need to redo it. all of this needs to be viewable in one shot, and we have a summary view that enables this to happen. And I'm not saying we have it, we're the only ones who have it, others probably will as well, they'll have their own versions of it, but that's something that you need to have, an overview feature. Some of the things that are, to help with the thinking of this, with this kind of tool, to help with making sense of the data, random thoughts is one, which I've already covered. It's a rich source of understanding. But you also need to think about what didn't happen, what nearly happened, what didn't they send you, what might have happened. All the time. Don't get sidetracked down all the things that have happened, that obviously you're going to see. Because for everything that's happened, there's a whole host of things that nearly did or didn't. And they can give you so much better understanding. One of the things about Ethos is that you're really running a party. Okay? Don't think of it as any other thing. You are hosting a party. You've got to make it fun, engaging. You've got to keep people interested. You've got to start with tasks that are easy to do and draw people in, and then you can drill down, one-on-one, maybe going down different routes with different participants. That's how you need to think about it. Okay, and that's what that's what good moderation is really about. And video, so to get this kind of content, we have 4 main tools: video, audio, photos, and text. Text is mainly for questions, or we get some participants who use the text entries a bit like tweets, which is fine, but if you end up getting loads and loads of those, it's worth contacting them and saying, look, can you send us more videos and photos? And they usually do immediately. Video is video. Video is perfectly powerful, and it's what our whole platform is all about, and we can actually analyze the video. We can, even though they're capturing it based on something you've asked them to do, there's still quite a lot to be understood from just looking at the footage and what's there, and slowing it, starting it, stopping it, pausing it, asking colleagues to give their perspectives on what they're seeing, different vantage points. So you have the participants thinking, you have your thinking, you have your clients thinking, you have what the camera sees. These are all vantage points that you need to get to and look at the data from. Did that make sense? Hope so. So video is one of those vantage points, and nobody's ever filmed more than about 90 seconds on our platform. They just don't. 90 seconds is a long time. We don't set any limit on it. People film for 4 minutes and maybe longer, occasionally, very rarely, but very rarely. So bear that in mind. You're going to get your information in 90-second packets. How do you pose the question? Audio. Audio is always thought of a poor person's video. No, it's really powerful. I cannot tell you how powerful audio is. Audio means people can talk. With video, they might talk. If they're doing a video selfie, they might talk a little bit, but nothing like what you'd get with audio. Because with audio, they're not self-conscious. They're not talking to anyone as such. They're just talking. And it's beautiful, actually. Well worth trying and using much more often than we already get. And then photos are photos. They're perfectly good. They're quick. People can capture them reasonably surreptitiously. If they are in a kind of busy area or somewhere where they might feel a little bit self-conscious, they'll take photos, and that's fantastic. It gets us into places. In a project where you don't specify which medium to use, where you leave it up to the participant, you will get about 20% video, 50% photo, and the rest will be audio and text, just to give you an idea. So you can change this by defining and determining what people use. just a quick thing about questions. Actually, let me move on to put this into the top tips sections. Ask people to tell you stories. Try not to ask them questions. Encourage random tasks. Send them examples of what you want them to capture. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Do your own. I've seen a client with a towel around her deodorizing, which was a bit shocking, but that was for participants to see. And do that. It's great. It's really important for you to also understand what your participants have to do for you, but also for them to understand what you're expecting. Loosen up on the tasks. Don't think that what you start with is what you're going to end up with. You're not. Keep an open mind. The future of ethnography? Well, it's orchards versus real apples, wild apples. In other words, personally speaking, these tools are allowing us to go after people who are not professional respondents, who are not doing this for the money, and who will do this for reasons and incentives other than cash. And I don't want to go into too much detail because that's a whole other talk, and it's something I'm actually working on right now with my own ethnographic research panel. But real people honestly are so different to research respondents. I've written a post on this on LinkedIn in case you're interested. And then journeys, being able to capture journeys in real time as they happen, as they unfold, with all their U-turns, with all their ambiguities, with all the paradoxes, everything, instead of the sanitized version at the end. And again, how you probe the questions that you create, the tasks that you create for journeys are very, very important. We're working on those too. So, just to summarize, I mean, I hope I haven't skimmed too fast over the top of what I've done, but I think fundamentally this is just the start. We haven't even really grabbed the bull by the horns. We are doing qualitative research digitally in people's homes. It's not proper ethnographic research, but it can be so easily, and we're getting there. But if there was one fundamental thing that I think you should all try when you do this, is bring the participant into the project. Let them know what you're trying to find out. At some point, doesn't need to be at the beginning, but at some point say to them, look, this is what I'm trying to learn. This is a question from the client. These are my objectives. This is what I've got to deliver. What do I have to ask you? What do I have to ask you to do for me to get the information I need? And don't think of the participant as being the participant. The participant are the participants. They're their family members, their friends, the group. Use those people. Bring them into the project. Mobile ethnography is perfect for that. I think that's it. There might be more. Let me know if I missed something. Thanks for listening. 23 minutes, not bad.